Guys, y'all want to hear a funny story? So I was literally recorded this video, right? And I finished it, right? To turn out that I wasn't recording. Like my camera wasn't on. So yeah, this video isn't gonna, when I tell you when I realized that I wasn't recording, how upset I was, bro, it was just like, there's no way. But this video is gonna be a little different than the other. I made a video kind of like this one. Like, I think I named it Talk About It, but I changed it up to being like mental health. But this video, I want to talk about self-love and self-respect. So I feel like those are two things. Well, first of all, those things can mean different to everybody and anybody in the world. Like what's respect to me might not be respect to you. It might be a little different. And that's okay, because we all deserve to be respected and feel loved in two different ways. Or in different ways. But I feel like that's something that's not talked about enough. Having self-respect and having self-love. Because I feel like that's something that they go hand in hand. So for you to have respect to other people, you gotta respect and I would say to some degree like yourself as a person. And I feel like that's something that sounds cliche, but it's really true though, because if you don't, how can you respect other people if you don't respect yourself? Like that aspect, the concept of respect is not gonna have an effect on you because you don't have that for yourself. But I feel like that's something very important. I feel like that's something that I feel like it's not something that you should learn from trial and error. I feel like it's something that you should just try to learn and try to develop early, because not having self-respect could lead to very detrimental things. It could lead to you being hurt physically, emotionally, mentally. It could be a very draining process as a person, and I don't wish that for nobody. So I feel like that's something that, like if you go broke, right? Let's say you have a lot of money, or let's say you get into money real quick, right? And you end up spending it on a lot of dumb stuff. And this is me speaking from experience, I feel like that's okay. Not okay, but like that's a lesson to learn from trial and error, because you can always get money again. Like money comes and goes. Like money's meant to be spent. So that's something that you can learn from and you can get back. Versus self-love and self-respect, I feel like if you learn that too late in life, you'll already have a lot of wounds, emotional wounds and scars that it's going to be hard to detach from, and it can end up affecting the way you treat other people and things of that nature. So I think that might be a part of the title, things of that nature. But I feel like that's something that, even though I feel like it's never too late to become a good person or a good person, I do feel like that's something you shouldn't want to learn from trial and error with, because I just feel like once you develop it, yeah, it's one of those things that it's hard to keep. I will say that, like, having self-respect as a person and self-love, I feel like a lot of people, they don't really truly like themselves. Like, I see that a lot. Like, people just generally don't like themselves, and hopefully that's not nobody watching this video. And if it is, I hope in a small way, a small, minute way, that this helps you. And I know I'm not the best speaker. Nah, let me not say that. I want to get better at conveying my thoughts in a way that can help people, but it is something I want to get better at. So, and that's another thing, just always wanting to constantly improve. I feel like that goes into self-respect, knowing what you got to do better, and being aware of yourself as who you are as a person. I feel like that's something that goes hand in hand. But knowing what you have to improve on as a person will only be beneficial for you. I feel like being scared to change, being scared to have those tough thoughts about yourself, I feel like it might hurt for a little bit, or like being a little embarrassing, having to come to a realization on who you are as a person. But if you don't have those thoughts to yourself, I feel like the only person you're lying to is yourself, bro. Because nobody knows the real us besides you. Like, you can try to contradict and try to push away. You can try to put on this persona on who you are as a person, but you yourself know the real. And I feel like an underrated aspect is real people know real people. Like, somebody who's fake, they might not realize it, but like someone who's really your friend or somebody who really knows you, they could kind of sense when you're faking something. But y'all seen that fake. I recreated an iconic moment. If you know, you know. But yeah, just loving yourself is something that I will never say is easy, bro. Because you also, when you know all the good things about yourself, you know all the bad things too. So I feel like that's something that be hard for a lot of people to think that they don't deserve to be loved or whatever the case may be. I feel like it's not something I'm gonna tell you to just get over, because it's something that you gotta learn, and then you might have to go through a couple hard things to get better at it. But just remembering that for every bad thing or every so-called bad thing about yourself, there's a chance for it to become a good thing. If you're selfish, you become selfless. If you're poor, now I'm not gonna use that example because money doesn't make you a bad person, or a good person. Like, having a lot of money doesn't make you a good person. So I'm not gonna say that. But just things of that nature. There's an opposite to everything. So and that's every time you think there's a bad thing about yourself, there's a chance for you to improve on it. But I just feel like you really have to look deep down into yourself as a person to really understand what do you want to change about yourself and what you as a person just need to do better at. Now, peep how when Hakeem Olajuwon fouled somebody, it set the dream. When LeBron, they just said LeBron, like, don't disrespect my son, that's the king. But I feel like self-love is something that I've learned a lot this year. I learned a lot this year about a lot of things, but that's something I learned. It's not something that, or I would say self-respect. It's something that, depending on who you're dealing with, like just friends, family, whatever, it's something that could be diminished very quick. Like, when you really care about someone, it's something that you might be put into the side little by little because your excuse, like, oh, that's just who they are, or that's how things are. But no, if you ever feel to a point where you're dealing with someone, a friend, or whatever the case may be, you feel like you're sacrificing a little bit self-respect too constantly, then you should probably cut that person off. And it may be hard because if you're a good person, you might want to try to see the good in them, try to see if they'll change. And this isn't a sub to anybody. I don't want nobody thinking I'm subbing them if you see this. If this isn't a sub to somebody. But I feel like that is someone, what was I saying? But yeah, if you feel like you constantly have to be the bigger person, you're probably around too many small people. I'm going to just let that sit. But I don't want to keep talking and rambling because I told you I already recorded this video once and it didn't make it easier to record it twice. So yeah, I just feel like, remember, having self-love is something that comes in within. Nobody can do that for you. And patience is key to that process. I'm someone who's bad at being patient. It's something I want to get better at. Did Shaq just do a pull-up midi? What? But that's not something easy that anybody is just gonna learn overnight. Something it's gonna take time. But yeah, that's this video. Hopefully it made sense. Hopefully it can help somebody. And yeah.